So somebody told me that you are obsessed with the Boys of Tommen series and you don't really know what to do after that. And they said, hey, maybe you should try Chloe Walsh books, but you were like, I don't know any other of her other books. So they sent you this video, and they sent you to me because I'm what I would consider a Chloe Walsh connoisseur. Okay, we're going to talk about some different series. These are the only, like, I mean, I have the full series, but these are the only of, like, the first books of the series that I have in hardback, or in paperback, and then I'm going to talk to you about a few other ones, and we're just going to have a little fun time and chat about the different books. Now, I also love Boys of Tommen, love Johnny Kavanaugh, love Gibbsy, love Joey, love the girlies. Like, this series consumed me. I actually started this when Keeping 13 wasn't even out yet because I had read a few of her other books, and it came up on Kindle, and I was like, oh, I've read her books before, like, let me jump into this. And then I proceeded to sob uncontrollably and get addicted to these characters. When she was writing Keeping 13 and you were in the Facebook group and she was posting updates and it wasn't out yet, it was like, I can't even explain what it was like. It was a time to be alive. And you know the cliffhanger that Binding 13 ends on. Imagine not being able to know what happens in Keeping 13 for months and just sitting there waiting. And then when it finally hit my Kindle, I said, cancel my plans, cancel everything. I need to be sat for this book. And it's the same way I've been since she has released anything, because I just absolutely adore her writing. Now, none of these other books are set in Ireland or in Cork like this book is in this series. So if that is like one of the things that you like about that, you're going to be a little bit disappointed. But we do have a few characters who are from Ireland in some of these, so don't fret, don't worry. We're going to talk about all of it. So get a little snack, get a drink. We're going to be here a while. I'd love to chat and talk. And if there's anything I can talk about, it's Chloe Walsh books. So let's go. I'm going to start sweating in a second because I have all my windows open and I live in Florida. And winter's not here. Winter didn't come. Winter's not coming. Nobody's going to come. Nobody's saving me from the heat. So I'm sweating. Anyway, you don't care about that. So if you don't really know where to start after that, I'm going to have you start with the Broken series. Okay, Break My Fall is the first in the Broken series. You're going to start with Kyle and Lee. Now, we in the fandom call him Daddy Kyle, and he's named Daddy Kyle for multiple different reasons. But when you first start out, you're probably not going to like him because it starts out where Lee, similar to Shannon, comes from an abusive household. Her dad is a really awful guy, and she has this best friend Cam. Cam's like, hey, come live with me, like, just come on, leave. Like, I've been waiting for this to happen. I've been waiting for you to leave that toxic situation. So she goes and lives with Cam, and Cam's like, hey, actually, so I don't actually own this place, and my boyfriend doesn't own this place either, because she's like, you can come live with me and my boyfriend, but she's like, my boyfriend doesn't own this place either. His friend Kyle does, but Kyle's not gonna care. Like, it's totally fine, it's chill, it's like everything's so fine. Lee is very, very sheltered, and Lee is like, listen, I'm coming here to get a job. I'm not coming here to like F around. She's looking for a job, and what she stumbles upon, she comes home one day and there's a party being thrown in the house, okay, and she still hasn't met Kyle yet. And she is at this party and doesn't really know what to do because she's a little bit awkward, and this guy comes in, and it's the hottest guy she's ever seen, and he comes up to her and he's like, hey, do you want to take a shot with me? And she's like, I'm not. She's like so sheltered. She's like, yeah, I'll take a shot with you. Takes a shot, and then they kiss. And she's like, holy shit, what just happened to my body? And me too, when I read it, I was like, whoa, what just happened to me? And she is like, oh my god, and he's like, oh my god. And then they realize that is Kyle, that is her new roommate. She's like, oh my god, I can't believe I just did that, like, please let's not make it awkward. And then Kyle can't stop thinking about her. Kyle's like, holy shit, this woman lives in my house, she's beautiful, there's something about her, I love her. Like, well, he doesn't know that yet, but he also has this very strange relationship with this woman. Is she his girlfriend? Is she not his girlfriend? We don't know. She is evil. She is, think about the worst character you can think about in Binding 13. A lot of people don't like Lizzie. They think she's evil. This woman is actually evil. There's a scene where she is like wearing these stiletto heels, and they're all over hanging out at the house, and Lee has her hand on the floor, and the girl steps on her hand with her stiletto heel, and Lee doesn't say anything because she knows if she said anything, Kyle would freak out, everybody would freak out and be on her side, but she like doesn't want to rock the boat. And like, to me, that is mean and evil, and she does stuff throughout this entire series where you're just going to hate her. And her character is very pivotal. Her character is very I'm gonna say important because I can't think of the word I want to say. But her character is very important, not only in this series, but in the series that follows after, for reasons that I can't tell you. But all of this, everything that you're gonna read in this series leads you to the next series, which is the Carter kids. Now you can put 2 and 2 together. They're kids from the original in this series. I can't say who. All I'm gonna tell you is that you're gonna get connected to some of these characters and some of them aren't gonna make it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm your friend. I'm your big sister. I'm your aunt. Whatever you want me to be. I'm just letting you know you're gonna get attached to some of these people and they're not gonna be there. And I'm sorry, but you need to know that. You need to know that going into it. And it actually starts off with Tegan and Noah. Now Tegan is actually from Ireland, so she's our little Spitfire. We love her. Now she comes and she's living with her uncle, and she moves in, and it's this place in Boulder, and it's near this college. And she gets there, she doesn't really know anybody, she's living with her uncle, and she's playing her guitar, and like maybe her and Feely are related actually. Feely's the only other one in Chloe's books that I know who plays guitar, but that's canon now in my head. She's very similar to Eva, where they just have like their personalities are very, very similar. If you love her, you're gonna love Tegan. Noah is like this bad boy underground like MMA fighter. He has a bad home life. He lives with his stepsister and his stepdad, and his stepsister has this really weird fixation on him. Think Cruel Intentions, but like we hate her. We don't like her. She like is very strangely obsessed with him, and he's like doesn't really want anything to do with them. And he sees Tegan a lot through like the little through the fence, and he sees her playing, and he thinks she's like the most beautiful person she's ever seen. But they're constantly throwing parties next door, and Tegan's uncle is working all the time, and Tegan's like, this is pissing me off, like I'm just trying to have a good time. So instead of calling the cops, she doesn't call the cops, she's very chill about it. But then one day somebody's getting into a fight, Noah's getting into a fight with this guy, and they land on top of her uncle's car, and she's pissed. She's like, I'm over this, you've taken it too far, you pissed me off. She walks out there and she throws paint on Noah's car. Noah has this nice car, he loves his car. Noah is pissed. Noah's like, how dare you. Noah picks her up, and she's like hardly clothed. Their bodies are pressed against each other. They're like, oh my god, what do we do? There's all this sexual tension, but we actually can't stand each other, and they go at it multiple times. There are so many things that happen, but she can't stay away from him, and he can't stay away from her. Now he is involved, like I said, in this underground ring. It's not just fighting, it's some illegal stuff. And she happens to like sneak in the car with him one time when he's going, and he has to keep her safe, and he has to pretend that she's his girlfriend while they're in the car. One of my favorite scenes. So good. There's some stuff that happens in there that's going to make you upset. You're probably not going to like Tegan for a little while, but you need to keep in mind her perspective, okay, going forward. Their story kind of follows a few books, and then you have her best friend Hope. I love Hope. Hope is like the sweetest little cutie pie ever. She has a boyfriend, a high school sweetheart, a childhood sweetheart, who also is introduced in this series. You'll see once you start connecting it all together. And they love each other. That's like her first love, but something happens. They end up breaking up, and then he kind of comes back later. He wants to get back together with her. He wants to try it again, but he's like, listen, I need you to know that I do struggle with addiction, and you need to know that before you take this on, but I really want to make this work. I love you. You're the love of my life. Now Hope has it's always been Jordan for her. So she's like, okay, I'm going to try to make this work. Like, I love you so much. She goes to move in with him. Well, he has a best friend. It's his, she's always been there for him. She's kind of like his sponsor, who's living in the house, who has a son, who coincidentally looks a lot like Jordan. And you're like, what the fuck? And Hope's like, what the hell is going on? And he's like, no, I swear, he's not my son. I do care very much about him. Like, I've been there with him for a long time. Like, she's just my friend. I care about them, but it's not like that. She's like, okay. And then it becomes very much kind of like that. She's like, I don't know what's going on. Hope is a writer. They don't take Hope's job serious. There's this one part where the friend is like, oh, you can watch him, right? Like, you don't work. Like, you don't have a job that you have to be at. And she's like, excuse me, I don't have a job. Can you not see me working? And that just really irritates her. There's a lot of stuff that Jordan does where you're like, Jordan, I want to punch you in the face. And she goes over and she starts hanging out with Noah and Tegan. And Noah has a friend who he met in prison, which I can't get into a lot of that because it's a lot of Noah and Tegan's story, but Noah does end up going to prison for a little bit. That's kind of a spoiler. But he meets this guy, Hunter, and Hunter is hot. Hunter's like Charlie Hunnam. Hunter is one of my favorite Chloe Walsh men. Okay, she meets Hunter, and Hunter really likes Hope. Hunter's like, hey, what's up, Hope? Like, ditch the zero, get with a hero. And Hope's like, please stop. But he's so nice. Like, they become really good friends, and they flirt a little bit, and there maybe is a love triangle that happens. Now, if you know me, you know I love mess. I love mess, and I love a love triangle. There's something about it that's always gonna do it for me. And they have a whole story. It's messy, it's complicated. There's a lot of stuff because they are second generation. There's a lot of stuff that happens in the first generation that carries on to the second generation, and there's all this trauma. Now, there are brothers. Hope does have brothers, and you kind of get bits and pieces of their story. Now, Chloe, if you're listening, I would love to get the brother stories. She set it up so beautifully where, like, she doesn't have to finish their story, but if she ever did, take my kidney. Like, take a kidney. Take my left boob. I don't know. I want it. I need it. Like, she writes, the way she writes her men is just, oh. And she has connected all these little things. She's woven these, like, created these stories and woven and connected all these people in ways where you're like, oh, holy shit, like, I can't believe she did that. So I'd love to get their brother stories. So maybe if we all read them and we all make them super popular, we can also get their stories. After that, maybe you start with the Ocean Bay series. In book 1, we have Mercy and Rourke. Rourke is your classic a-hole. This is a stepbrother romance. Her mom moves in, marries this new guy. They move in. Rourke has a sister. She kind of becomes friends with the sister. Rourke hates her. Rourke's like, listen, I've had so many step siblings. Like, you're not going to be any different. I don't care about you. He preaches this whole time, like, I don't care about you. You're nothing. You're trash. Da 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 da. Then you get his perspective, and it's like, that's so not the case. And Rourke becomes like, you find out so much about him and what's happened to him and his personality. And he's kind of a little softy. He's like, well, I say he's a softy. He has softy moments, but he is a jerk, and there's a lot that goes on. There's one of my favorite scenes where he's throwing a party, and she comes down there, and he's like, what do you think you're doing here? She's like, I'm here for the party, hello? And he's like, no, you can't be here. And then she ends up kissing one of his friends, and he gets really pissed. He's like, how dare you? And I think he ends up throwing her in the pool. It's been a while since I read it, but I'm pretty sure. But that's who starts the series. There are other people throughout the series that you're going to get to meet that have their own kind of story. Very good, very amazing, very chef's kiss. Mwah. Then maybe you move on to the Off Limits series, which is a brother's best friend romance, very secretive, secret dating, and it actually starts out as fake dating. Her brother and her brother's best friend are like very popular, always throwing parties. She's like not really popular, she's not really into that crowd, but she needs a dance. She needs a date for a dance. I can't remember what dance it is, or like, and like he needs to get his crazy ex-girlfriend off his back, so they start fake dating. It's actually her brother's idea, which is crazy. And they're like, oh no, like we have to fake date each other, like that's so embarrassing. And she has diabetes, and there's like this one scene where he helps give her shot. So like, so cute. And she ends up going to this party, and she kind of changes her appearance, and he's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you trying to change who you are? Right? She's like, I'm trying to get your attention. And she does actually get his attention. And so the fake dating becomes real dating behind her brother's back, and her brother is so pissed. And there's this whole big secret that gets revealed that makes me sick to my stomach, and that is just horrible and awful and really changes the whole dynamic of everything. But it's amazing. It's chef's kiss. Again, like these books and these series are so good. Now, the next one is the Pocketful series. I can't remember. Let me look it up, because I can't remember if it's just called the Pocketful or if it's, I mean, I know book 1 I think is Pocketful of Shame, but I told you I was a connoisseur and I was like your guide, and look at me not being able to give you what you need. Okay, yes, it is the Pocketful series. So you have Pocketful of Blame, Pocketful of Shame, Pocketful of You, Pocketful of Us. And it's about a girl and these two twin brothers, and one of the twin brothers ends up dying, and the other twin brother thinks that she had something to do with it, and she had been close with them for a long time. I'm gonna read you the first description of this just because it's been a really long time since I've read this one. I know that I loved it because I can see what I've rated it, but I'm gonna read it to you because I want to make sure you get the whole picture since I don't know this one as much as I know these. The Capaldi twins, Chris and Sketch, as different as night and day. One my best friend, one my lover, inseparable since childhood. I always assumed that we would grow up, escape our sleepy hometown of Pocketful, and live out a life of adventure together, away from our powerful fathers and the lure of money. But life, as I know it, changed 2 years ago when reckless Sketch broke my heart and dependable Chris picked up the pieces. Except now Chris is dead, and I'm the only one with the answers to what happened that night. I'm the only living witness. My connection with Sketch has been severed. He thinks I killed his brother, and I'm determined to let him believe it, because the truth could put us both in the grave. Pocketful of Blame is the first in a completed 4-book series and contains a cliffhanger ending that runs into the next book. So I did remember that, but I think I want to reread this because it's been kind of a while. I've loved everything that she's done, but it's been a while since I've read this. So if anybody wants to do a reread, let me know. The last one that I have read is the Blurred Line series. Now, this is the series I kind of talked about a little bit on TikTok. You need to read the triggers going into this. You need to read, listen to me what I'm saying. You need to read the triggers going into this book because it deals with so much dark content. I did not read any triggers or did not know any triggers when I went into it. And some of the stuff that I read in there has stuck with me for a really long time and gave me a little bit of trauma. Absolutely incredible series. Loved it so much. Cried, sobbed, threw up. But you need to know that going into it. Starts out 2 childhood best friends. They end up becoming more than best friends. They end up dating. And he wants to take her on a little camping trip. And she's like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so cute. Like, we're going to go on a camping trip. And they have their own tent together. And things are so good. They love each other so much. She gets kidnapped. Okay? She's missing for a really long time. And the only thing keeping her sane and holding her and grounding her is the memory of him. She sees and goes through so much horrible stuff. Graphic stuff on page. I need you to know that. I cannot express enough how much I need you to know how dark it gets on page. She does eventually get found, but he has never forgot her. He constantly thinks about her, but guess what? He's dating one of her friends. Well, they were kind of like frenemies, but he's dating her. He's dating her, okay? And as soon as she gets found, the girl immediately like knows that it's not gonna work because he's always been in love with her, but there's some drama there. And there is so much drama with his mom because his mom and her dad are now together and they live together. And obviously, like, her dad is so excited to have her home. He's so excited to have her home. And her mom is the biggest, most evil C word, like full on capital letter see you next Tuesday. Like, one of the worst people I have ever read about. She is evil. She is an evil, unredeemable character in this book. She is so mean. She treats this poor girl so horribly. This poor girl who was kidnapped went through so much stuff, and she basically is just like, I don't want this filth in my house. Like, she's horrible. But this guy, he is one of the characters that reminds me of Johnny Kavanaugh, and in the sense that, like, she's it for him, and he's gonna do whatever it takes to make her feel safe, to make her feel comfortable. He's gonna choose her over everyone every single time. Now, there is some drama with this other girl, obviously, but he is going to choose her over everyone, including his mom, every single time. And he's just constantly there. He's constantly showing up for her, even though he's like, he doesn't know how to handle all this. Like, she has so much trauma. Like, she has so much trauma, obviously, from everything that she's been through. But he's just like, I love you. I'm here for you. Like, let me be here for you. Let me take care of you. And like I said, there obviously is drama with the girl, and it does get very dark, and it gets very sad. Like, I need you again, please prepare yourself before you read this, because when I read it, there's one scene in particular that is ingrained in my brain and like made me sob uncontrollably. The series is it gets dark, but it's so good. It's so good. It's so incredible. I think you will really like it. I think if you like Chloe Walsh's writing, you will love these series. Now, I will say, Boys of Tommen is always going to be one of my favorite of hers. The Broken series and the Carter Kid series is up there with those just because I love them so much. I think they are different. Like, they're different They're different in their own way, but they're very, very well written, and they're so good, and they're so, like, especially the Broken series and the Carter Kids, so interconnected. And she kind of does all these callbacks and these like things where she's like Taylor Swift, or there's like all these little Easter eggs, and you kind of like put everything together. I just think that you will really, really love all these books from her. I do want to do a reread of the Pocketful series just because it's been a long time since I've read it and I forgot how much I liked it. So we're going to do that. If you want to do that with me, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I think it's going to be so great for you guys to read some of my favorite Chloe Walsh books. Really immerse yourself into this world, and then maybe we can get some of those other books that we want. I can't wait to see what ends up happening with Boys of Tommen. I will just give you some of my quick opinions on the Boys of Tommen series. Shannon and Johnny are forever going to be my top favorite couple. I am always very loyal to the first couple in any series. It's always going to be like, they're always probably going to be my favorite. There's like obviously an exception to that rule, but normally the first couple, I've said this before, like I just get attached to. I just love them. I think their story is beautiful and incredible. I am very interested to see what happens with Lizzie. I'm not a Lizzie hater. I think she's very broken and sad. I am actually very excited to see what happens with like the love square. I love drama and mess, especially like that kind of drama and mess, but I feel like it's not just a love square like your traditional love square, because they all have their own trauma and their own backstory, and I think we're going to get to know a lot more about Katie and Feely and even Huey, and I can't wait to see kind of where their stories go. I've always loved Huey and Lizzie from the very beginning. Even like the little pieces we get of them in Binding 13, because I do kind of feel like we get some breadcrumbs from them. I think that the Boys of Tommen has a lot of complex characters, similar to like a lot of her books. I think they're complex for a reason. They make you think. They make you kind of change your mind. I've started out hating a lot of characters, and then by the end of it, I'm like, oh, Chloe, why did you make me like them? Like, why would you do that? Or at least I don't hate them like I thought I did. Like, I just kind of feel like sorry for them. And I think that's one of the things that makes her such a great writer, is she does write complex characters and she does make you think. So yeah, that's a little bit of my hot takes on the Boys of Tommen. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you check out more of her books, and I hope you check out more of my videos, and I'll see you later. Bye!